Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the GabNet Tour bus. Today our tour will take us up and around the newly designed GabNet.net webpage. For your safety, please stay seated while the bus is in motion and enjoy your trip. Also, remember that tipping your tour guide is greatly appreciated. Okay, we're off. The first place of interest that we're going to pass on the top left, you'll see a rotating billboard of all of the great GabNet programs. Legend has it that legendary broadcaster Alex Bennett created this billboard to attract early visitors to GabNet and to lure them into his site. To this day, it's one of the top attractions on our tour. Up next, look over at the top right and you'll see the most recent video of Alex Bennett's Ramble. And if you're lucky enough, we'll see Alex interacting with the citizen panel. Always a tour highlight. Did I mention that tipping your tour guide is greatly appreciated? As we approach the bottom of the Ramble video, we see quick links to all the ways that you can connect with GabNet programs. Facebook Live, YouTube, TuneIn, Livestream, Vimeo, and the GabNet Roku channel. They're all additional stops that you can make if you choose to step off the bus. But remember, please tip your tour guide if you do, and then you can hop on the next bus. Here's another highlight on our tour. On the left side, you'll see GabNet On Demand. You can quickly access any of the most recent programs there. Clearly, a value spot on our tour because downloads are at no extra cost. Please give your attention now to the right side. Look at the complete tutorial on how easy it is to become a citizen panelist. By the way, if you're a Luddite, there's a phone number that you can use to dial in. Okay, we're nearing the halfway point on our trip. I certainly hope that you're enjoying it. Oh look, there's the convenient call Skype button that you can click on, which will automatically connect you to the citizen panel. So now we're turning down the center of the page. I don't want you to miss any of these attractions, so please pay attention. Up first is a link to the 24/7 feed. Now these are going to come fast and furious, so pay attention. Next is a quick note on how you can hear GabNet on Amazon Echo. Next, quickly coming behind that, and this is always exciting, a screen that shows Alex Bennett's Ramble when it is live, with a countdown to the next show. It's always fun when we pass and the show is live. We're winding down our tour of GabNet.net, but before we reach our final stop, it's important to note that there is a place for you to contact them with your comments. Let them know how you like GabNet.net and the GabNet programming. And with that, we wrap up our tour. Remember, as you step off the bus, to please be careful. And also remember that GabNet is talk like you've never heard or seen it before. Did I mention, please tip your tour guide?
What makes GabNet talk like you've never heard before? Well, it's the citizen panel concept. Our talk hosts talk to a whole group of people at the same time. Want to be a citizen panel member and add to the conversation? It's simple. First, download Skype. Answer 4 simple questions during the install. You know, your personal stuff, first name, last name, email address, and most importantly, the ID you want us to know you by. Then from Add Contacts on Skype, enter GabNet Live. Become a contact, and you're ready to go. Now, if you're a Luddite and you hate computers, you could use the telephone, just like Grandma had back in the day. Call 347-352-0079 to connect via voice. Don't be shy. It's fun and addictive. Now, the last time I did this promo, I said if you don't call, I'd kill my dog. Of course, I was kidding, but then I accidentally killed him. So, to replace Fluffy, I got this cuddly pussycat. And now, if you don't call, I'll kill this cat. Don't worry, Sylvester. I won't let them hurt you. I'm not kidding. Call now or Sylvester gets it. Again. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey! Yes, it's me. I'm here. Who knows for how long, but I'm here. Oh boy, yeah. But we have quite a story to tell tonight. But we'll be here until midnight, so we got a long time to tell it. Let me turn on the fan a little bit. I need a little bit of a breeze in here to make me feel more awake. I'm exhausted. Let me. A lot of people are wondering why I have not been on for the last. Well, I wasn't on. Last night, and I wasn't on the night before, and then we took 2 days off for Thanksgiving. So this is the first time in over a week, that I've been back on the air here doing the Ramble. First of all, I want to thank two people. I want to thank, first of all, Damian Chaplin, who is the one guy I always can count on for anything that is not only programming-wise or technical if I need help, and I needed real help in the last couple of days. And he came to the fore. I was not going to do a show on Tuesday, and then he wrote me and said, "I'll do it for you," and he did it, and I thank him for that. And then the next night, Jack Bishop, I have to thank him. He came right to the table and said, "Sure, I'll be happy to." When he heard why I wasn't going to be on and everything like that. So I really, he's, oh, wait a minute, it says here, file transfer keeps dropping the connection before I can transfer the file. Hold on a second, folks. I just got to do something here. I'll shout from the other room here. Let me try to do something here. Let me disconnect something. Well, he's trying again. Damn it. I don't know what the problem is. Okay, try it again. It's all working for you, Damien. See, I come back and we got problems. Let me see here. See what you can do. See if you can do it. If you can't do it, sign off and I'll do something over here. Anyway, oh boy. These things always have, the technology has a problem. Okay, all righty. Okay, wait a minute, stop it. He can't even hear me. Stop it, I have to, he's trying again. Oh boy. Yeah. I'll tell you, here's a way of doing it. If you're having a problem, Damien, let me write Damien a note. Let's see here. Drag and drop to the desktop and work from there. From the desktop, or from the server desktop to the server. There we go. Desktop. All right. Now I sent him a note. All right. See if we can see if we can do it. Oh boy, it's a problem. We have, if it isn't one problem, it's another. And apparently there's some kind of problem. I'll take care of it later. If you can, if you don't, well, there's no way of communicating with him actually. Let's see if he can do that. All right. Oh boy. Let me see here. Yeah, and I'm trying to tell a story here, and it's hard for me to tell it when the system isn't working for him. But let's see if he can do it that way. If you can't do it that way, then if you know what the Dropbox is, just put it in the Dropbox and I'll do it later, okay? Anyway, where was I? Why did I even come in tonight? What? Everything's going wrong. Oh, boy. Let me see here. The other thing is, yeah, or use the Dropbox. Okay, hold on a second, folks. I'm trying to solve problems and, okay, it looks like it's working. Okay, thanks. All right, he's got it working. All right. So should we start over again? Huh? Why don't we, shall we just, shall we just start it over again? Jeez, I could do that, sure. Here. Oh, nice. All right, that's enough of the thing. Oh, forget it. Anyway, I just wanted to start the program over again. Do you know, every time we have a problem technically around here, people, the numbers go up. And now that I don't have a problem, they're going down again. That's interesting. Anyway, okay, let me tell you a little story here. The reason I wasn't on for the last couple of nights is my life has been exhausting. And not only my life, but more than that, the life of my dear wife, Marjorie, who I love and adore, more than she'll ever know, and more than I ever expressed to her properly. Let me go back to Monday. On Monday, she called me from a car, and she said, "I'm taking an Uber home. I've had an accident." And she said, "I'll tell you about it when I get home." So she got home. When she got home, she was limping. She was just, her leg was it was horrible. And she went to she went down to the bedroom and laid down. I said, "Okay, what happened?" She said, "I was walking down the street. I was walking down Fifth Avenue. Or maybe it was Madison. And I was coming back from the bank, going back to the office, and some woman who was a tourist, damn those fucking tourists, I hate them, accidentally tripped me, and I fell to the pavement and hit my knee, and it's killing me." And I said, "Well, maybe you should have gone to the emergency room or something like that." And she said, "Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be better tomorrow or whatever." And I said, "I don't know." She said, "How does it feel right now?" She says, "I can barely walk on it." I said, "Well, I guess we can wait until the morning and see what happens." She says, "Yeah, well," she says, "I called my doctor, and he said he'll see me tomorrow morning," or something like that. So I said, "Okay, all right." So she gets up the next morning, as do I, and she is in just agonizing pain. All right? Just amazing pain. And I said, "This isn't good." And I said, "I don't see how we're going to get you down to your doctor, who was down on like 57th Street and 6th Avenue. I said, if we have to go down there, we got to get you in a cab and whatever." And I said, "I don't even think, can we get you into a cab?" She says, "I don't know if I can even walk downstairs." So I said, "Well, I've never done this before, but let's do it." And I said, "Let's call an ambulance and go to emergency over at Mount Sinai." Now, I have a little bit of video that I shot with my phone. It doesn't tell the whole story, but it gives you a brief idea of what went on. So we finally decided that there was no way she was going to get to her doctor's office, and there was no way she was going to get downstairs. So what we had to do was call an ambulance. And here's some of the stuff that went on. It's not much to see because a lot of it I couldn't shoot because they don't like you shooting them. Okay, but you'll see what I mean. All right. Tell them what happened.
I fell on my knee yesterday, and I am so much pain going from my.
Yeah, but it wasn't. She just fell on your knee. It wasn't like an old
Somebody
lady
tripped me. Somebody tripped me. It was an accident, but I went into the street and landed on my knee. Want to show my knee?
Yeah. Well, if you can do it.
Yeah, it's right here.
Look at that. Yeah, hold on a second. It's probably really terrible this morning. Yeah, it takes her forever to do that. There we go. Look at that. It's swollen, if you can notice. Yeah, it doesn't look terrible.
It's more swollen than last night.
Yeah, but it's... Yeah, I think... So we're waiting for an ambulance. Our first ambulance ride of our marriage. Have you ever been in an ambulance before?
Yeah, I just told you when I broke my arm at Crunch, they took me up in an ambulance.
Oh. So anyway, we're waiting for the ambulance. If she had a heart attack, she could be dead by now.
Or stroke.
Guess who's going to the hospital?
Yeah, I'm so excited.
We're in an ambulance.
Right?
Just to make sure you feel better.
Oh yeah. I'm just shooting. How you feel? Better?
Oh, I'm in pain.
But you're comfortable.
I'm comfortable, but the pain's going from my toes all the way up to my hip.
Yeah.
It's kind of have like a pulse like this.
Yeah. Well, we're on our way to the. This will show you where.
Emergency.
Huh?
Going to the emergency.
Yeah. How you feeling?
Terrible.
Huh?
Terrible.
We're almost there. You're a fall risk, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. How you feeling?
Terrible.
We're in the emergency room right now. Can't shoot for too long.
Can you move this towel over a little bit?
Surgery?
Yeah.
How long have you been here?
Too long. Too long.
After you came back to the hospital and got her.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit of the video of that I shot of the situation. We got back here, and they put a brace on her and said, "You got to go see a doctor, you know, who can maybe work on it or whatever." And because they took an X-ray and they said, "You've got a broken knee." She literally had a major break in her knee. It wasn't just a minor break; it was a major break. And then she called her doctor and said, "I couldn't make it because now what do we do?" And he said, "Well, I have a doctor here who can help you, but he's in tomorrow. This is Tuesday, so why don't you give him a call and see what can be done?" And she called him the next day, and he said he could see her that day. And so now here's the problem we've got. She's now got a splint on her leg. Let me show you a picture here that will illustrate it. This is her. Isn't that pathetic? They put that splint on her, but that didn't fix anything. It was just supposed to help, but didn't stop at the pain. They gave her some pain medicine, but that didn't really work that well. But now we've got her like that, and any movement of that leg hurts like hell, okay? Really hurts like hell. And the question is, how do we get her into a cab? So we go down and we call car service, and he pulls up, and somehow we manage to get her into the car. It was not easy, because it was not so much that she couldn't move that leg and that you had to wedge her into a car, but that anytime you move that leg, she was in great agony and great pain. So that was what happened, and it was not fun, and it was not good, and it was it was something. And we got her then to the doctor, and we got her out of the, again, now the second thing is you got to then get her out of the taxi. So we get her out of the car, And then we asked if they could send down a wheelchair, and they didn't send down a wheelchair, so she hobbled with the crutches, which she's not very good at, up to the what do you call it? Up to the I guess it was 15th floor. We took the elevator to this place, and then they found a wheelchair and put her in it. Anyway, we finally see the doctor, and he says, I've seen your x-rays, because, you know, he goes to Mount Sinai and so on, and all the stuff is very good. They do it online, you know. He says, here are your x-rays. It's broken. It's a straight break across. He said, you shattered some bone. There's some loose bone in there. He says, what we got to do is we've got to open it up, open the leg up, put a couple of pins in there, put some wire in there, sew you back up. And he said, you should be able to walk almost immediately once we do that. He said, but we got to do that in a hospital, and it's surgery. And he says, I've got an opening on Friday, which is tomorrow. He says, but first you got to go to Mount Sinai in order to get the pre-op whatever. You have to get approved for an operation. You have to get approved because they got to check your blood and your pen and this and that and EKG, and to make sure you're not going to die on the table from all the stuff. So now, see, already it would be enough of a problem if we had to get her into another cab to go home. No, we got to get her another cab to get her to Mount Sinai. So now I find another cab. And luckily it's a slightly bigger cab, and we get her in, and she's starting to learn how to unch herself in. But, I mean, she's in great pain. You got to realize this woman's a real trooper, and pain pills aren't helping her much. And we, excuse me if I'm not very good at telling the story, because I was kind of getting a little mixed up meetings and things like that with stuff with Damien trying to post his show. So just follow me. And also, I'm still pretty loopy over all of this. So we get into the cab, and then he takes us to Mount Sinai, and then we get out, and we kind of pull her out. She unches herself out, and then I give her the sticks, and she gets on the crutches, and we go in the door, and they tell us it's the wrong door. So it's two doors down. I said, do you have a wheelchair? So it took us a while, and they got us. It isn't really a wheelchair as it is a chair I wheel. Okay, so I roll her down to the next building, and we go up to the second floor. And now they take over, and they give her all the stuff that she needs to do. And luckily, in leaving, we had a big, strong guy who took us down to get a cab. We got a cab. We came home, and that's when I took this picture. That was right when we came home. We were both, to begin with, she was exhausted, of course. I mean, the pain alone, if she didn't do anything else, the pain alone would be exhausting to her. But what got even worse, and I can't, what was the fact that I was exhausted as well. What was I exhausted from? You know what it is? It wasn't so much, well, to begin with, I had taken 2 of my gabapentins the night before to put me out, to put me to sleep. And I was kind of loopy from that. But the exhaustion that I faced was that at every step I had to figure out how we were going to get her into a cab, out of a cab. How were we going to get her from one location to another location? And all of that, you know, puts just this agonizing stress on you. And finally, we got home, and we just went, you know what we got tomorrow? And I said, what? We have a free day, because the operation isn't until Saturday, and if it's not Friday, and we don't have to worry about getting into a cab. So pretty much she's been lying there since we got home yesterday. She has learned how to use a cane and get up, and she's in great pain to do it, so she can go to the bathroom. She hasn't taken a shower, because it'd be very, how is she going to stand up in the shower, right? You know. So we're just waiting till this operation, when they say she will be able to stand okay, even without aid. But she is going to have, first of all, the operation. Then for 6 weeks, she's going to have a thing on her leg that will make it so it can't move. All right? It maybe can move, he said 10% either way. But it can only move about 10%. That's for 6 weeks. Then he says extensive physical therapy to get the knee back to the way it was. And he said then after 8 months, he said, you may decide that you don't like the pins in your knee anymore because they're bothering you, in which case we're going to have to go back in, open you up, remove the pins, and everything will be fine. So she's got about an 8-month slog to get better. The only good news is for me, and that is that after tomorrow she'll probably be able to take care of herself, because I have been literally taking care of everything for her. I'm trying to think, what's the most extraordinary thing I've had to do? Oh, move this pillow, do that. Can you get me more soda? Can you get me, and it's not like I can say, go get it yourself, because quite frankly, there's no way she can go get it herself. It just isn't, it isn't possible. So every time she needs something, I have to be there for her, and I don't mind doing it one bit. But, you get to a point where you go, I just like 1 hour of me time, And I said to her earlier, I said, could you give me a little bit of time for some of me time? And she said, how long? And I said, how about 3 days? It was, to begin with, I'm not the world's greatest nurse, but I got to tell you, she's a terrible patient, okay? It gets crabby and doesn't, but she's I admire her. She's gotten through this thing okay. But what pisses me off is I just like to strangle that tourist, because just by her own clumsiness, okay, she has managed to put my wife's life on hold for 8 months or so. And that's what bothers me. There are a couple other things that bother me. Let me just tell you about this. I got to the hospital because we got an ambulance. It'd be nice if we could get an ambulance to go everywhere, because that would have made life really easy. And I suppose if I was really wealthy, I would hire a private ambulance company to take her to all these things she had to go to. But we don't have that kind of money. And the insurance company isn't going to take care of that kind of excess. Secondly, it was amazing to me that here is somebody, okay, first of all, we were very lucky and fortunate. This guy said, I'll operate on her on Friday. Because when we talked to other people, they said, well, we can't even see you till January or mid-December, which would certainly mean a longer time till she could have an operation. And what, she's going to be this way for that long? I mean, don't you just say, hey, come on over right now, But more than that, doctors don't make house calls anymore. But yet here's a woman who cannot walk. Now, if I wasn't around to help her, how would she, how would she get to the doctor? And the doctor wouldn't see her unless she went down there. So, I mean, it was really amazing. I just think that there should be it would have been nice had there been an easier way of us to get her around and to do these things and get it done. But thank goodness for this doctor. Thank goodness for her other doctor at this place who suggested this guy. And that, what was a thing that could have not, she could have been in pain for the next 2 months before anybody got around to operating on her. And by then, the knee might have really atrophied or done all kinds of things. But we found a guy who said, I can do it Friday. I've got an opening on Friday. You'll probably be the last operation of the day. Actually, it turns out it isn't going to be as late as we thought it was going to be. He said he thought it'd be about 6 o'clock. They're actually going to operate on her at, I think, 4:30 tomorrow. Now, I'm probably going to do a show here because they're probably going to keep her in the hospital overnight. And it doesn't do me much good to be there while she's in pre-op and all of that, because they're not going to, they're not going to let me be there. So I'll probably be here to do a show, but my mind will be elsewhere. I mean, by then I'll know that she's okay, and I'll feel better about the whole thing. But geez almighty, you know, I got to tell you right now, the reason I didn't do the shows for the last 2 nights was that I was just exhausted, just absolutely exhausted. So anyway, and you know, then I come on tonight and we have this problem. Sorry about that, Damien, but he got it. How did you, if you're listening, Damien, just write me a note and tell me, how did you get it to work? Did you, oh, I see what you did. Hold on a second. Oh, okay, you put it on the desktop. Good. Okay, that solved the problem. Okay. That's a way of doing it. Anyway, so if I sound a little punchy, I am very punchy. You know, this has been just a week from hell. And the worst part is that somebody you love is in great pain, you know, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I would love to find that tourist and yell at her. Not that she probably meant to trip over her, but undoubtedly because of one reason or another. Well, that certainly made a lot of noise. For one reason or another, she oh, shut up. I'll turn all that off. I got to clean out some of the stuff from the last 2 days while I wasn't here. She, you know, I mean, you just feel terrible when somebody you love is hurting like that, and there's nothing you can do. I said to her, I wish I could, like, take over the pain for an hour, you know, and you could go do whatever you had to do and then come back and I'd give you the pain back. But, you know, that isn't the way life works, okay? And you know, I just really felt bad for her. And but she's going to be okay, and we'll look upon this, I guess. And I'd love to say, well, someday we'll laugh at this, but there's nothing to laugh about. Somebody, Christine wrote, geez, she doesn't need this. No, she doesn't. And don't count on it, Alex. Going to be a few days before she gets going, no matter what the doc says. Take it from experience. Yeah, we don't expect she's going to be up and doing a tap dance in a day, but he said within a day she'd be able to stand up and walk around. And you know, I believe him, Kevin. I know what you're saying, Kevin, because it's always a harder deal than you'd like to think it is. So anyway, let me see here. Oh, I see that Phil's calling, so let me answer the thing here so that we can talk to our friends. Yeah, hello there, Phil. How are you?
All right. I'm really sorry to hear about Marjorie and just, you know, how useless a thing this was. I mean, it could have been prevented. And you mentioned that you didn't even know who the tourist was. Did she stop? Did she help her? Did she do anything, or did she just keep going? She stopped and helped her. Yeah, there was no question about that. And then a person who my wife works with showed up, and he helped her back upstairs. Okay, yeah. So it was, you know, she had help and so on, and this woman didn't. It wasn't like she disappeared and didn't, you know, have anything to do with her. She didn't give her name or contact information.
No,
or anything like that?
No, she didn't do that. And I said to Marjorie, I said, why didn't you ask her name, get her name and stuff? It's just in case, like for insurance purposes, you know, we need some kind of a name. And also, I would have liked to have had the name so I could find the woman and strangle her.
That happens, you know, that happens quite often. You know, people, something happens, a car does something, hits somebody, or, you know, hits another car, and the witnesses never look to see what the license plates were. They just said it's red. You know?
Well, you know what the problem is that when this kind of thing happens, she's thinking about the pain. She's thinking about getting back up to the office. You don't have your mind,
think about
you don't have your
things,
wits
right.
about you, exactly.
Right.
And I mean, if this woman were really nice, she would have said, "Listen, let me give you my name and my address and everything in case there's any reason you need to get a hold of me."
Right.
But no,
I
she didn't.
mean, sometimes people spill something on your coat and they give you the name and so forth and say, "Get it dry cleaned on me."
Yeah. But
here, someone causes 8 months worth of misery.
Yeah.
And nothing.
I mean, this was this. Marjorie is clumsy. She's had accidents and she's had quite a few bones broken in her time, especially in her athletic endeavors. All right.
Yeah.
But never has she ever had anything that just absolutely was somebody else's fault.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, this person obviously wasn't looking at what they were doing, and they bumped into her and tripped her. They're tourists. They're looking around. They're seeing the buildings, and and whatever.
Yeah, but how did Marjorie not see her looking around?
I haven't even asked her that. Marjorie probably didn't see her. The woman could have been in back of her, for all I know.
Wow! So Marjorie was going backwards?
No, she was going forward. She was going to her building, but the woman could have been in back of her and just been too close, and
close, and hit her in the knee or something, and then she went down.
I think even if I asked Marjorie right now how it happened, she wouldn't be able to tell me.
Yeah. And sometimes there's so much pain, you blank out that stuff.
But I'm physically exhausted. I'm just, I'm just fried.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that you're going through that. Yeah. You know what I'd recommend, though, is why don't you rent a wheelchair so that you can get her down to the cabs, have it up in your
wait
apartment.
a minute. You didn't hear the story. I mean, after tomorrow, we're not.
Oh, she'll be able to walk.
Yeah, she'll be ambulatory.
Oh, okay.
So,
But if she's not for any reason.
Oh, no, then we would. But, we were thinking about it for a few days here when we first didn't know how this was going to see itself out. But the doctor seems to be confident that within a few days she's going to be up and walking around. She'll probably get to work in the middle of next week again. That it's an easy recovery once they fix it.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's going to be bothering her is the fact they're cutting into her knee, and that's going to take some healing,
Yeah.
But
it's too bad she didn't need an artificial knee or something at this point. They could have hit two birds with one stone.
But no. In fact,
her knees are good.
She asked why. Why don't you just give me a knee replacement? And he said you don't need it. You've got outside of the break, you've got a perfectly good knee there, but it was a break across the whole kneecap.
That's what the mafia used to do with a ball peen.
That's right. That's what they did.
So she didn't pay the money, and Luigi went over there with the ball peen and said, "Okay, Marjorie, the money or your knee."
Yeah, maybe that's what happened. She just isn't telling me.
Yeah.
But it was a mess.
I saw the picture of her knee. It was so swollen.
Yeah,
it was just unbelievable.
I think we were supposed to go see Jeff this weekend and his wife, and I think to prove that she really did have something wrong with her, she sent a picture of the knee, didn't she?
Yeah.
So, it was swollen. It was swollen pretty good.
Oh, terrible.
Well, I'm glad I saw you guys last weekend.
Yeah.
I've been like, hey, come over this weekend, John. It's like, no.
How you doing?
I hope Marjorie feels better.
Yeah.
Give her a big blow for us, okay?
Yeah, and we really mean to get up there, and we probably will in as soon as she is able to walk. As I said when I posted that picture of her on on Facebook, it said the telethon starts tomorrow. So
look at us, we're walking.
She she looks pretty pathetic there. She looks really she looks either that or if we do a little Christmas pageant, I suppose she could be Tiny Tim.
Just don't have the Rockettes going through there. That's sort of tacky.
Hi, Rob.
Hey, Alex. Sorry to hear about your trials and tribulations. Wow.
Bummer. The thing is, the amount of exhaustion that I've felt out of the whole thing has been really amazing. You know, I mean, that's not to even begin to mitigate her pain, which is almost constant. You know, so we can hardly wait till we get to the hospital tomorrow. We have to get her there by 2:30. We get her there, and I finally feel she'll be out of harm's way. You know, after it's over with, at least she's on the mend.
How come they don't give her any morphine or anything
She
like
has
that?
Dilaudid she takes for her back. Her pain doctor said to try that, and that isn't helping.
Wow.
That's how bad the pain is. But what's interesting, and you know, she has back pain, as you know, because she has a bunch of stenosis and stuff there, and she had an operation on it a while back. But anyway, she said ever since this pain in the leg has started, I have had no pain in my back. And their pain doctor said, that's natural. That happens. He said, when you get pain that's really bad somewhere else, whatever pain you've got somewhere else disappears. The brain can't cope with two pain things at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I went through that with a fractured fibula at Mount Sinai, and they fixed it and struck some, you know, and put some screws in my ankle and everything. And when I got out, because they did a spinal block. When that disappeared, boy, did it hurt. And they had me on a morphine thing where you could push the button, you know, and I kept pushing the button. And finally it didn't work. But I remember my dad, who had gone through had gone through hip replacement. I said, one way to help cut down the pain, have them give you a cup full of ice chips. And chew on the ice chips. Normally you wouldn't be able to handle that, but it did. It dulled the other pain. It really wasn't that much pain in the mouth, but you're overdosing, you're overloading the pain.
Wait a minute, you've got a bad leg hurting you, and now your spine isn't hurting anymore. Good, maybe we can help the leg by giving you a toothache. Here, let's go with that.
Are you icing her knee to reduce the inflammation?
Oh yeah,
and the swelling.
It doesn't help.
You know, like 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off.
The problem here, Phil, is she's got a broken knee.
But she has a lot of swelling, and for them to operate, they got to get the swelling down.
Are you a doctor?
You know, so
are you a doctor?
I know enough about.
Well, this doctor didn't seem to be. The doctor did not seem. The doctor did not seem concerned about the swelling. Okay.
Yeah, until you get in there and the guy says, "Oh, I can't do this because it's too swollen."
I think
just put some ice on it, and listen to me on this.
Well,
one.
We've put ice on it, and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. We've had continual ice packs in the beginning.
No. You don't want continuous. You want 10 on, 10 off. 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off.
We've done that. We did the whole deal when she first came home. She did the ice on the knee, and it just didn't relieve the pain, and it didn't reduce the swelling. In fact, the swelling only got worse.
You see, I made a living by being on my knees for many years.
Yes, but once you made enough money off those blowjobs, you retired.
I guess I wasn't very good.
Yeah.
But when you install carpet, your knees can hurt, and it's not a bad. This is what you do.
Yeah.
You ice it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what we did, and it didn't help. Okay.
You didn't realize it was so swollen.
What, we didn't use enough ice, Phil? I mean, what? We did it, and we had ice packs and everything, which she's used for her back in the past, and it really didn't help. It
takes a lot more than a couple of attempts.
We did it for 2 days, Phil.
Oh, you did?
Dr.
Yes.
Phil.
Oh,
yeah. Dr. Phil. I mean, what more can you ask for?
You're kind of like Ronnie. Ronnie warned me about people like you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she said that now that I've got cancer, now that I've got cancer, everybody's got an opinion on how I can help my cancer.
Hey, I cured my cancer.
Yeah. Yeah,
you didn't. I had cancer.
You didn't cure it. You just sent it to another zip code, is what you did.
Ripped it out.
Mm-hmm. But the thing I guess that bothered me most of all in this scenario, and hello to Renee, in this whole scenario was the whole thing about her having to get to the doctor when she was not in a particular situation of being able to get anywhere. I mean, to get we have a courtyard. To get from our apartment, once we got down to the first floor, to get from the first floor to the lobby to the front of the building took her about 5 minutes, maybe longer, because of her just having to take it really slow. Well, compound that by having to get in cabs and then getting to the place where you're going and then having to go up to the office and all of that. And there's no accommodation for that. No doctor said to us, well, look, you can't walk. We'll come to you. You know? And you would think that would
Doesn't Uber allow you to pick the size of vehicle that you want to show up at your house?
I think we could do that, but I suggest...
You don't use Uber.
Well, whatever car service needs to be able to say, okay, we need a minivan so we can just scooter in the back and scooter out.
Yeah, well... You know, I think we tried that, and they said you have to take what we have. You know, so
they have a limited number. Yeah.
But all I'm saying is that the amount of travel that we had to do yesterday. I mean, you know, it's enough that you have to travel downtown, then up to Mount Sinai, and then back to our place in New York City during an average day, and the flow of traffic, that's excruciating in and of itself. But compound that with the having to do it with somebody who is really unable to walk. You know, it's really terrible. And there was outside of us hiring a private ambulance, that would have been the easiest way to do it.
There are besides private ambulances, there are paratransit services that are run by the city and the county that are very inexpensive, especially for seniors.
You got to sign up for them here, though. You can't.
No. I actually put in the floor covering for the one in Contra Costa County.
No, you're talking about there. We're talking about here. Rockwell's
we have
talking about here.
Ride. I have a friend who was wheelchair bound who did it, but she had to apply for it and get all anything and whatever. But the only thing that's good about it is that the ride costs about as much as taking a subway. I mean, they're going to get for the ambulance ride over to Mount Sinai. I had an ambulance ride back from Mount Sinai back in March when I had, or a couple of years ago, and they're going to charge you $300.
That's it.
This wasn't a Mount Sinai.
No, it was a fire department.
It was a fire department. Yeah.
So it was mine.
Yeah,
and
I asked them, by the way, what's how much would a private if you see when you call 911, they send an ambulance. Now sometimes it's from the fire department, other times it's from a private server.
Whoever's nearby can get there.
Other time it could be Mount Sinai itself. I said, what's cheaper? He says the city, ours, the fire department is the cheapest.
Oh yeah.
But as I said to girlfriend, it's going to be interesting to see how well our health insurance works now. You know.
So, if I may, Alex, you need to get on Amazon and start making a list so that it can be dropped off at your house. You're going to need a shower chair, and then
we're not. No. You haven't listened. She is going to be. She's going to be able to stand up in a shower. She's going to be able to walk around the house. Don't say no. I'm listening to hear her doctor and what he says is going to happen.
So she's going to be on one foot with a leg sort of elevated,
No.
And she's going to slip because you have grabby things on the bottom?
No, she's not. She gets to
take... So you don't have grabby things?
Listen,
so her foot with one person, one leg...
Listen to me. You're not listening to me, Renee.
You didn't hear... something that he said in the first half hour. You want to repeat it, Alex, for our friend Renee?
What part is that?
It was the fact that she'll be able to stand after a day after her operation.
Yeah, and that she'll be able to walk. She'll be able to walk around the house. Yeah. The only thing it's going to be. Oh,
this woman,
Renee, I don't need this. Wait a minute. I don't need this. I got enough problems worrying about her without having people suddenly telling me all the things that could go wrong. Okay?
I'm not telling you what's going to
well,
go
yes,
wrong.
you are.
Saying,
yes, you are, and I don't need that right now, Renee.
All right, I'm out. You know what, Alex? You talked about how this has affected you, just like the same way you talked about how your ex-wife's stuff is affecting you. These are strong women that are getting.
Oh, fuck you, Renee. Fuck you. Fuck her.
I try to introduce Trump.
You know, I mean, really, you know, I'm sitting here, I am agonizing over her and over the problem that she has. And by the way, the reason I relate my part of the story as well is because I'm doing a show and I have to talk to you about what I was going through as well. I anguish over these people. I'm trying to say how these things affect me personally because I'm the guy talking to you. But, you know, when she calls up and tells me, oh, she isn't going to be able to stand up in the shower and you got to be able to do this and do that, the doctor said your life is going to be pretty normal except you're not going to be able to move that leg.
Alex, just remember, people who try to give you this information are well-meaning, and you know they care about you and they care about Marjorie, and you know they're just trying to do what they feel is best, and sometimes it's not received that way.
Well, you know, well, I mean, fuck Renee though. I mean, how dare she come on here and try to panic me? You know,
I think she was trying to.
Well, no, she wasn't. No, she wasn't. She was trying to be that bossy Renee who wanted to tell me how my wife should deal with her life and that she's not going to be able to stand up in a shower and whatever. No, he talked to us about the shower. He said, all you do is take the brace off, get in the shower, take a shower like you always do, and then put the brace on when you're through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, am I going to listen to Renee, the Hawaiian doctor, or am I going to listen to my doctor and her doctor?
Well, we'll find out.
Yes, John.
I think I may still have a shower chair from when I had to go through stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to bring it over if she says, you know, I can stand, but you know, it's just so much easier not to have to deal with that.
Do you have a walk-in shower or
I have a tub
shower? No, I'm talking about Alex.
We have a tub shower.
I had to put the chair in and then sit on the toilet, which is next to the shower, and scooch myself over and lift my. This is when I had the broken ankle, fractured ankle, and you know it was a pain they have to do. But I also ended up getting a shower head that has the extension sort of thing, so I didn't, you know, it wasn't just up there.
It was sit in the chair and do it.
And you know, but I only need to do that for about a few days, and then finally it's like, okay, you know. It feels better. Also, for a while they had me on with a boot or something. They said, "Don't take it off. Hang your foot over."
And you know, I got to say something else to Renee if she's still listening. With you, it always comes down to, well, you're a guy, and these are strong women. What the fuck does that have to do with it? You know,
don't raise your blood pressure.
I mean, I talked about how strong my wife has been through this, and you know, Ronnie has been is amazing. You know, and I talk about that all the time. But you know, she's got to turn it into a women's issue. You know, Renee, that's not welcomed here. You know, especially right now. All I wanted was you to say, "I hope she gets better." That would have been the nice thing for you to say. But no, you didn't say that. You didn't give a shit whether she was going to feel better or not. All you cared about is whether she could stand up in a shower or not.
Alex, let it go.
How can I let it go? She's ruined my fucking evening.
It can only you can ruin your evening. You know, nothing anybody can say has any effect except the way you handle it.
Yeah, well, you know, I just feel that I just, you know, that I did not deserve that attitude from her.
All right.
You know.
So,
I have a question about
yes, John.
When you went over the emergency room, because I've been there a few times for various things, and they're usually pretty good. Though they had me sitting around in there till 3 a.m. one time. And I got there at 6 because they had no place to put me, and so I was stuck there. But I'm sort of surprised that, I mean, that they let her go, and not because if they looked in there and they did X-rays and all and saw this was broken, they would have tried to assign a doctor from there.
Oh, well, no, here's what they suggested. Here's what they did suggest that, and then I see that Rob has his hand up. What they suggested was they said we can do one of two things. We can send you over to another hospital we have where we do this kind of thing with your leg and so on and fix it, and they can do whatever they have to do with it. But first we have to find a room over there. Then we'll send you over there, and we may be a couple of days before they can operate on you while you stay at the hospital. Or you can go home and you can call the hospital and make an appointment, you know, or find a doctor who's going to do it.
I was just wondering because it just sounded like
go home. She was given the choice. Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Yeah.
You know,
I like those guys.
But
you know?
and Marjorie decided that she wanted to come home. She'd rather try and do it from here. The only problem is if she went directly over there, we wouldn't have to worry about getting her to a hospital and getting her to a doctor's appointment or whatever. Then again, we might not have gotten this great doctor that we have who is
think about the 4 days that you spent with the kidney stone issue.
Yeah.
And, you know, how bored you were in the hospital all of those
I wasn't
days.
bored. They kept stuffing me full of drugs. I didn't know. Time went by like that. You know,
yeah, but, you know.
But also, and let me say this if you're listening, Renee, the guy who we're going to was named one of the, I think, 15 top doctors in New York City by the New York Times about 2 years ago.
I thought he was a top golfer.
No, top physician. And this year in another poll, he made the top docs in another poll just this year. It wasn't like, you know. So I mean, he's a really good. He's good. He's a sports guy, you know, and so you know, we trust him, you know, and I trust his
orthopedic surgeon, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you can't trust what your doctor tells you, is gonna he didn't give her any over expectations about things. He said this is gonna be a long slog of physical therapy when you're through getting the cast off after 6 weeks. And then after 8 months, you may want to get the pins taken out, which means another operation to get the pins taken out of your leg. But that's what you have to look forward to. And he didn't pull any punches, and I was very happy with him. You know,
when I broke my leg, I fell off a ladder a long time ago, but they put 6 screws in my leg and a screw through my ankle. And I left it in there. You know, I didn't have them removed.
Same here.
Yeah. Well, no. What he said was about 50% of the people who get this done feel that they can feel the screws and they're uncomfortable. Okay.
Probably when you're kneeling.
Wait a minute. And they're uncomfortable. The other 50% never feel anything. The ones who do feel it usually come back to me and have me remove them. You see, because they can be removed after 8 months, because what it's done is your knee is healed, okay?
Yeah,
and all the screws are doing
together.
Yeah. So he said if you feel that it's uncomfortable and you want it taken care of, then go ahead and, you know.
Now, what about an artificial kneecap? I know that they do that.
I said to you, she doesn't need a kneecap.
I didn't say a knee replacement, but they make kneecaps that are prosthetic.
Well, no, but if they made a kneecap, they would have to remove the old one and put the new one in. This is not putting in a new one in. This is repairing the one that's already there. Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
it might be bones behind the patella too, behind the kneecap.
Yeah.
That are messed up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Here's another guy with leg problems.
Yeah. There's a guy who knows your foot problems. Hi, Kevin.
How are you?
Yeah, how are you? So you know the kind of misery we're talking about here.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have surgery on the 20th.
The 20th of December?
Yep.
That's a nice way to spend Christmas. Well, you're gonna go home right after that, or?
Yeah.
What are they going to do, Kevin? Do you mind saying?
Turn up your mic a little bit, Kevin. Turn your mic up just a little bit.
That's probably in the wrong direction there. Maybe that helps. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps.
Yep.
They're putting an experimental gizmo in my back, probes in my back to kill the pain in my legs.
Oh, okay. Well,
so it'll sit in there for a week or so, and then I'll go back and they'll take it out if it works, and they'll put a permanent one in a couple weeks later.
Wow. Isn't science wonderful?
Just wonderful, yeah.
Yeah. I wish
it was like your panel has to be carried in rather than sign on.
Yeah.
What's that?
We all have to be carried in rather than sign on.
That's what I was saying to Alex on Facebook. I said, now Marjorie has to get a number and come into the waiting room.
Yeah.
Yes, you did say that. Do you
have any Boys Life magazines?
Easy, Phil.
Old National Geographics.
Boys Life magazine. I remember Boys
that was
Life.
always in the doctor's office, right?
Yeah.
At least in the dentist.
In the kid's office.
Yeah.
The Boys Life was never in the. You didn't go to a urologist when they had Boys Life. No,
my urologist still has it.
There they have the AARP magazine at the urologist.
Really?
Yeah. Because I remember when I took Marjorie to a urologist I was going to, and and we walk in and we sit down and I look around and I go, there's nothing but old guys in here, and it turns out that most of the people who have piss problems are old. Yeah.
Hey, that Danny.
And I'm
DeVito,
sure you couldn't find Boys Life anywhere in that place.
I'll bet, unless it was a priest, just for priests, but the character that Danny DeVito played in Kaminsky Method, that was great. The way he.
That's every urologist I've ever been to. I've never, the one line in the Kaminsky Method that I loved was when Arkin said, "Nobody loves their urologist."
Yeah.
Nobody likes urologists. I have never had a urologist I liked. Yeah. I have one now that's bearable. Okay.
Well, I liked.
And he's he's bearable so much that I'm beginning to think he's not any good.
Yeah. Well, that DeVito told that old joke about the nurse.
Well, the old joke about I got good news for you. What? I'm having sex with my nurse. Yeah, right.
He says, "What's the bad news?" He got cancer.
But
good urologist.
But what's going to be interesting now is to see how well our insurance works in this situation.
I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. Probably.
I'm thinking that I've always noticed that if you look at medical plans, the coverage of hospital stays is very good. It's almost like 100%. I mean, it's amazing. When I had the kidney thing, I think the most I put out of pocket was maybe a couple of $100 to various doctors there who billed me separately from the whole thing.
And that was before you had this new supplemental.
And this new supplemental will just be interesting to see how it all works out. How much we have to pay.
What did you have? A Unum before, or one of those other ones for the second?
Well, the secondary was in Oxford.
Oxford, that's it. Yeah.
And they were for shit. They were for shit.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I mean, again, we're talking about people needing this kind of thing, needing insurance, and having to put up with insurance, and we're lucky we have insurance. Yeah. We have the Medicare and we have the SAG-AFTRA supplemental, and we're very lucky. But how about people who don't? How about people who can't even afford to pay for their Medicare, because you do have to pay money out of your Social Security, something like $105 a month.
Yes, then the county usually picks it up.
Well, that becomes Medicaid, I believe.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. But there are a lot of people. We have a lot of people who just not. Everybody should be insured enough that if they get something catastrophic, they can get the best possible medicine available to them, not just something that's going to, be a bromide, and who knows, I mean, like, for instance, I do know that Mount Sinai takes Medicare, so they got to take whatever Medicare
it sure does.
Yeah.
But I still had to pay for a day and a half in the hospital. They sent me what was left over after Medicare. Took whatever they were able to get off of it, I was left with about a $350 bill.
But you didn't have any. But if you had supplemental, that probably would have been taken care of.
Well, I have a Medicare Complete, AARP one, but I don't know how complete it is. Yeah. And they just raised the monthly rate by $28, so I have to throw an extra $28 in. Along with what's already
thing is when you get like supplement and people, if you're listening and you're not available for Medicare yet, I know that
this is boring.
That several people on this panel aren't available. Medicare is not yet available to them.
A few more months for
once you get Medicare. It's wonderful, but it only takes care of about 80%. The other 20% you got to come up with. So you have to get like one of these supplemental plans that you keep seeing advertised on television this time of the year because the enrollment period is this time of the year. Mm-hmm. And there's United and whatever. Well, for the two of us, something like United would have cost us something like $300 a month or something like that, just to have the supplemental, maybe $400. Whereas the supplemental that I'm getting from my union costs us $536 every 3 months.
When I do Medicare through Kaiser, I pay for my Medicare, I guess the normal way you do it, and then it'll be $99 a month, and Kaiser covers everything. They even give you a health club for free.
Well, a lot of believe it or not, I know that Marjorie, if she goes so many times to a health club under an old plan that we had, she used to get so much money for going to a health club on a regular basis. They didn't pay for it, but they paid part of it as a result. So I mean, and it's in their best interest because to make you healthy isn't that what it's all about? They get away cheaper if they make you healthy.
Yeah, I don't want to take away any of your thunder, but Faye went to the emergency room today. Mm-hmm. She has the flu, and it's been going on for a week, and she is sick as a dog. So finally, I convinced her just go and have somebody look at you. She never goes to a doctor. She has insurance, but she
but to go to an emergency room for that, she should have just gone to a regular doctor.
She doesn't have one.
Well, then she
has
get
insurance,
one.
and she never
because
shows a regular doctor.
I'll tell you what I saw the other day at the emergency room. We went in the Monday after Thanksgiving, the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, and we went in. It was somewhat packed. All the stalls that they had were filled with beds, and the people were in them. And then the litters were backed up, right?
Yeah.
So so I left her there for the time being to see what, because I said, I can't be any help by staying here with you, and there's no place to sit and everything. She said, just go home, and come back and get me. So because they had to give her X-rays and things like that. So then she calls me and she says, I'm ready to go home. So I get in a cab and I go to Mount Sinai, and I go in. And what had been a certain amount of beds, and then they were kind of backed up because of the litters being lined up, were now triple lined up.
Wow.
I mean, what that emergency room was just, packed. And I can see how somebody could die in an emergency room.
Sure. Yeah. Well, especially that busy of a hospital. She went to John Muir, which is not too far from here, and they have a big enough facility for the area that they're never backed up.
But I'll tell you, these guys from the fire department were terrific. These guys who did the ambulance thing, and the only thing that disappointed me greatly was that because she didn't have a heart attack, there was no siren. That we had to wait and stop at stoplights and things like that.
No big rush.
But if she'd had a heart attack, we would have gotten this. I asked him. I said, "No siren." He says, "Only for heart attacks."
Did they give you anything to relax you?
Huh?
Did they give you anything to relax you?
Yeah, there was a copy of Boy's Life, and I read that.
Tell her to grab her chest, and they would have clicked on the light real quick.
But I mean, they were really good, and it was great because they brought a wheelchair and they took her down and they put her in the, And it made the our decision to take an ambulance was because we just didn't want to try to get her downstairs and into a cab.
Smartest thing you did.
Yeah, definitely.
And if I could take a ambulance everywhere in New York City, I would do it.
Well,
there's an old story about Orson Welles, who, when he started out in New York City, he was just an announcer and an actor on radio, and he worked so much because he was so much in demand that he would go from one job to another job to another job to another job, and in order to be able to accomplish that as fast as possible, he literally had a full-time ambulance that would take him from one job to another.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
I had a friend that was a fireman in Sausalito, and he said, and he was an EMT, and they used to get calls daily from people in Marin City that needed to go to a doctor's appointment, and they would call the fire department to transport them. And so it's not so far-fetched. What you're saying is, that they end up doing that.
So that's the sum total of it. And it's good. It's good. So we're I'm right now. I'm still exhausted, and then that call we got me so aggravated that I'm even more exhausted now.
What call was that?
From Renee. So I just it's just that I don't need any anguish in my life right now, and I just got it. Thank you very much.
What did she say that pissed you off?
Huh?
Did she say something that pissed you off? Or
absolutely.
What? She said Phil was right.
Yeah, she said Phil was right. No, it was just you would go back and listen to it, okay? I don't want to go through it again. But it was, I think, very inappropriate from her, and I feel she owes me an apology, but she'll never give it. Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, I once went to the hospital in Australia, and it was what a great experience.
It probably was.
It was free, first of all.
Yeah.
And they were just wonderful. And it was a great place and great people, and you were in and out, and there was just no charge.
Do you know where they supposedly have great hospitals? Cuba. For some reason, the Cuban hospitals are supposed to be top notch.
Only one.
Only one?
Only one, and that's in Havana, and it's barely good.
Oh, really?
My buddy was just over there.
Oh, really?
About a month ago.
Well, why did I hear that they were pretty good with their hospitals?
I don't know, but he said he went to one hospital and it was a clinic and it was run down like no tomorrow, and he had to drive 50 miles to get to Havana, and that's where the hospital was. But the one that was near him was a shitbox.
What did he say the condition of the one in Havana was?
He didn't go to it, but he said that was the only one that was worth anything. He said anywhere around outside Havana was pretty much shithole. And he was with his family and stuff because he hadn't been there in 50 years. He was born there, and he went back there to see his family, and he said that was what shocked him the most.
Did Trump include that in the list of shithole countries?
Yes, I'm sure he did.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'll have to look it up. It's in alphabetical order, I'm sure.
Well, then I guess he was telling the truth.
Yeah. The only problem is he didn't take into account that we've become a shithole country. So,
Because he took a picture of it, and I said, "Oh, what's that?" And he goes, "Oh, that's the clinic." And I said, "It looks like
the worst healthcare in the industrialized world."
Yeah. Well, I'd heard that their medical system was better than that, actually. But
it's free.
The system itself, I don't know, but the building that I saw looked like it made a Motel 6 look like the Ritz-Carlton.
I'll tell you the most pathetic thing I ever saw in my life. I got sick in Albertville. I got strep throat. And so I had to go see a doctor immediately because, you don't want strep to go too long. And I went to the local hospital, and they said, well, we can't treat you here because you're not a citizen. All right? He said, but you have to go to a private doctor. So they gave me the name of this private doctor, and I went to the private doctor, and I go into his office. It was the dingiest place I've ever seen in my life. The boy's life was 20 years old. That's how old this place was. And
what country was this?
This was France. And the reason why it was so dingy is because this guy could barely pay his bills. And the reason he could barely pay his bills was they have just national health in that country, and nobody goes to a private doctor except people like me who are from outside the country. And so he charged me $25 to solve my my strep throat, and it worked. So yes, Jeff.
My friend Bill always used to say, if you ever get sick in France, what you ought to do is leave the country.
Well, I hear the hospitals are terrific. You know.
No, I've never been in one, so I can't.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, well, there's nothing worse than getting sick in another country because you're kind of panicked by that because you don't know what to do. In my case, when I've been in hotels, they would just call a doctor. And
well, at least it was $25 and not $250 like it would have at least been here.
Well, doctors there give you make house calls. Okay, remember those days? Remember the doctors? They will. By the way, my doctor does house calls. If you want to pay him $2,000 a year for a concierge service.
Concierge, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, otherwise, you better if you've got a broken leg, limp over to his place. But anyway, one time I got I started getting strep throat again. No, I got diarrhea. That was it. I got the trots, the touristas. The traveler's diarrhea, the kind that, you know,
Montezuma's
the only way you
revenge.
can stop it is by putting a cork in it, and then the cork will eventually pop out. So it doesn't work. Anyway,
Imodium doesn't work.
No, so we called this. They called this doctor to come up, and he's speaking in broken English, and he goes, "You have what we call in France the shits." That's what he said. We call it says is that a medical term you're using there? I don't seem to understand.
Alex, in France, it's called merde.
Merde, yeah.
But he said but he was saying it so I would understand. He said we call it the shits. I said no kidding. And so he said just take this pill and just put it on your tongue, and let it dissolve, right? So I do, and it puts me to sleep. All of a sudden, I feel like my entire midsection is suddenly going into a very relaxed mode. It's like all the tightness that I was feeling in that part of my body just dissipated. And I was out like a light for about 10 hours. And when I woke up, I was woozy. And what he gave me was an opiate. Really? Because the best thing for traveler's diarrhea is an opiate. Because it binds you up.
That's true.
Well, we had to rent a car, and I couldn't even drive. I rented the car, and I somehow managed to drive the car out of the place where the car was, and then I told my girlfriend, "You start driving. I can't drive." And I was woozy for the rest of the day. I mean, and then that night, I started getting withdrawal symptoms. I started getting chills, and I was shaking. And finally, the next day, I was okay. But that's how he cleared up my diarrhea. So he replaced my diarrhea with, like, withdrawal symptoms.
OxyContin.
Yeah.
Internal plug.
You know what's good, too? My mother always used to say, eat rice if you get diarrhea. Because it binds you.
Yeah, well, then you shit brown rice. Have you ever gotten sick in another country, Rob? Have you ever gotten?
I had an eye infection when in the Philippines.
Yeah. Did he take care?
I had to go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it was a pretty decent experience. It was dirt cheap.
Yeah. I mean, when you're saying dirt cheap, what do you mean dirt cheap?
$50 for the emergency room visit.
Wow.
And 2 prescriptions that were less than $9 each.
Yeah. We should come up with a separate thing. Like you say, Faye had to go to the emergency room.
Right. There should be like a second level that you could go to that's like an emergency room, but it isn't exactly an emergency room, and that the emergency rooms can be there for true emergencies.
They have something like that. It's called they're private. And,
well, I know what you're talking about is things like
urgent care, yeah.
Well, urgent care, yeah.
We do have that.
No, we have that, and I use that. Believe it or not, if I get an infection or something like that, I just go over there and let them take care of it. Because to go see my doctor, I'd have to make an appointment 2 days out. You know. And
try that on my medical plan.
They have,
what'd you say?
Go ahead, Rob.
Try that on my medical plan, and you pay through the nose.
Really?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Because my medical plan covers it.
They cover it, but it's going to cost you way more than if you go to the emergency room or you go to your doctor.
Well, no, the emergency room is free to a lot of people because they just don't pay, you know, and the hospitals just don't go after them. They have to honor that
Write
they
it
came.
off.
Yep.
Yeah. So they use the emergency room as just a doctor. They'll go in with a cough, you know, to the emergency room. And I think that's putting what I saw the other day was a great strain on this emergency room. And we talked to this one nurse who was the main nurse who was handling it all, and she says, "I'm the only one here doing this. I'm the only actual nurse, you know, lead nurse on this floor." And this place, I mean, it was packed with everybody from somebody with a cough to somebody dropping dead.
Yeah,
you know, and.
When I was in March in the same place, I didn't wait that long, but they were doing ultrasounds and things in the emergency room as people were coming in. The fire department, ambulance guys were coming with gunshot wound guys. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hello.
They gave her an X-ray. They made sure that her lungs were clear and that she didn't have pneumonia. It was very, very good.
Yeah, but you know she could have gone to one of those urgent care places, and they would have taken care of her too and solved the problem for her.
Yeah, I just didn't know where the urgent care place was.
Why don't you tell Faye to get herself just a general practitioner?
Believe me, I have.
Yeah,
I have. Well, you know, but this is stubborn, and you know, she doesn't want to go to the doctor. She doesn't like doctors. But finally, after a week of hacking and coughing, and I told her, I said, "Don't get me sick. Yeah. I can't get sick. If I get sick, I'm fucked."
Yeah.
You know. And
well, so, it's just that I don't know. You know, we're very fortunate, you and I, Phil, as is everybody. Most of the people on this panel. Maybe some more fortunate than others that we can afford a doctor. You know, that we have the insurance. Like for instance, Medicare. What a wonderful thing Medicare is. I mean, the fact that it even exists at all. It certainly is a wonderful thing, but the fact that you got to pay the other 20% is where the big problem comes in, and you have to get. Then you've got all these leechers coming after you, trying to get you to take their auxiliary plan. So if you have a union, then that's really good too. You know,
but most health plans are 80-20. The regular health plans that, when I had Blue Cross, Blue Shield, those were 80-20 plans, and there was no supplemental.
Right. But
I knew of.
Yeah, no. If you raised your hand there, Rob, were you saying that you
That wasn't raising my hand. That was going, yeah. Isn't it nice to have Medicare and help for people who are sick?
Well, how old are you? How old are you now?
Social Security.
How old are you now?
Rob, I think is 60.
Yeah.
I'm I'll be 62 in January.
Well, you got 3 years and you get Medicare.
You look good, Rob.
Oh, thanks.
He looks like in his early 50s, like my brother's.
Yeah. Well, but everybody's comparing everybody else to how I look, and everybody here looks like a child. Even Kevin.
And Kevin's one of the youngest. Brian, I guess, but.
Yeah, Brian's very young. Tony's mother has been having some medical stuff, right?
Yeah, it was an adventure today, Alex. We had kind of good news.
Yeah,
well, really good news, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, because we took her to Sloan. We got an appointment with a doctor.
There's something wrong with your microphone. It's like vibrating or something. It's well, keep talking.
I don't hear
it. Yeah, so they took all her records from the other hospital. We send them over to Sloan. So the doctor had a consultation with us, and he read everything. She has one small tumor that's cancerous in the colon. And there was another one that they thought might have been cancerous a little bit over. He was trying to show us. And the first cancer they biopsied it, it's non-genetic. The other one, they thought it might have been genetic. So my mother got all nervous in the office. She thought I might have had it. So my sister, the doctors, we're not sure. Then again, when he had to do a procedure, and the doctor said that's not cancerous, but he's going to take it out. So he was actually really good. We were there about 5 hours. So what basically is going to happen is in January, all they have to do, well, he has to go in.
You just go in and get it. Yeah.
Take it out and then just attach it. She's not going to need chemo because it's a non-aggressive cancer. So he said, once they take it out, she'll have to mend a little bit, but she got
probably what they do in those cases, they remove the cancerous polyp, but then they also take out a lot of stuff around it, and then they like sew it up.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said
resection.
And it's all
resection
done
it.
like microscopic.
Well, that's good. That's good news. Let me ask you a question, though. When was the last time your mother got a colonoscopy?
You know, I asked her that because she kept saying, she never got one.
Oh, well, here we go.
I says, Mom, you told me, Nancy, my sister, you got one. She never went 20 years ago.
Well, here's the price you pay for it, because of all the cancers, and I'm saying this to people who are listening to me right now. Listen to me closely. Probably the most preventable cancer.
Yeah, he said that
is colon cancer, because we have a test for it. They can see if you've got a polyp, and if they take the polyp out and it's cancerous, or precancerous or whatever, they've gotten all of them. It's going to be 10 years before you ever could grow another one that would be dangerous enough to get you. Your mother's probably been sitting with that thing in her colon for about the last 10 years and not doing anything about it.
Can you tell? He says, that could have been there a long time. He said it had turned.
Yeah.
So when the doctor said that the cancer one was non-genetic, he says the other hospital made a mistake. They thought the other one was cancerous. It was small. He was showing me. He says it's strange where it is. He says that, and the lady says, the PA says that could be genetic. So I was all of a sudden, I kid you not, me and my mother's. I was ready to get a colonoscopy.
Go get one. If your mother has colon cancer, you should start having it at 50.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
And just, hey, the worst part is taking the prep the night before. The drug they give to put you to sleep is so nice.
It was terrible.
And
she passed out in the bathroom. She wasn't drinking.
Well, that was because of other things too. I've done it, and I haven't passed out. Everything that was in me left me. I was passing. The only thing I was passing were lunches I had 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
too?
Yeah.
He goes.
But you know what happened? What happened was I went and got my colonoscopy, and the last time my doctor said to me, he says, "You were very clean. You did a good job." And I just felt so proud of myself, that I had evacuated my colon completely. It just made me feel so good. And I wondered, does he have a little gold star he's going to put on my medical record that will follow me through the rest of my life, as you know?
Well, my sister is older than me, so she's going to get one.
Yeah.
And then my brother's going to get one.
Yeah.
And then I'll get one.
Yeah. Well, everybody.
We should go 3 at once.
It's not everybody. Everybody. The idea does not seem pleasant, even though I know what they're like. Every night when I know one's coming up, I don't dread it.
Did you have any polyps on yours when they went in?
Yeah. The last time they found one polyp, but it wasn't precancerous or anything. It was just a polyp.
Yeah. And they always take them out. Just say,
that's what he said.
Take them out anyway.
My doctor told me if I take out a polyp, and now you're clean, and you don't see me for 10 years, there won't be a cancer that will grow fast enough to get you at that point. So that's why they tend to tell a lot of people when they get the 50-year-old one, like you're 50 and they have you get one, tell you if you're clean, if you don't have any polyps, they'll just say, come back in 10 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, Jeff.
Alex, didn't they say that because of your age, You don't have to go again.
Yes, but he found a polyp, so he said, "Well, he said we'll think about it." You know. Oh, I think what he's really saying is, we'll see if you're still alive the next time you need one.
I think what happened is he bought a Porsche, and he needs to run a few more.
And by the way, the thing that he's not saying, the thing that Jeff is not saying, is the reason they say you don't need a colonoscopy after 75 isn't because you suddenly don't get colon cancer. It's just they figure your chances of dying before you get one are heavier and larger. You know, so that's not.
That's like the prostate.
I think there's another part.
That's not happy news. But where are you, Ray? There's all kinds of noise coming through.
I'll stop it. I'm at Safeway.
Oh.
But she was very happy.
Hey, so it's someplace.
Well, as soon as I heard colonoscopy, I had to call.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a response. It's an automatic response. But I'll turn off my sound so.
We don't hear it now. The background.
Oh, okay. I don't know what it was.
And you know what he said to the doctor, Alex? He says, you can tell if you're having problems going to the bathroom and the stool is like she's had a little blood in the stool.
Yeah.
And that's when we noticed. And that's, wasn't if you're having that.
Honey, I told you what to do.
But that
when she's at the top of the stairs, push.
She was worried about me. I think it's non-genetic.
Actually, if you have bright red stool in your blood, it's a hemorrhoid. It's not colon.
It was the piles, I thought, but it wasn't the piles.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Remember, those were there for a while. That's from childbirth. I asked the doctor that. He says, you asked a lot of questions. I said, this is my mother.
What kind of old-fashioned person are you? Nobody calls it piles anymore.
My mother said those were piles. I just thought they were.
I know. And you also, I think, when you wrote a note to Shecky, used the term "colored lady." Come on, let's get with the program here. It's piles and it's black people.
She was wild. She wanted to beat up the nurses in an old hospital on Main Street.
Yeah.
She said, I'm going to come out there and drop you like a hot towel, she told the nurse. They weren't helping her. I said, we had a fight on our hands.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so, I've gone through this whole thing, and the reason I talk about it from my perspective is because I can't talk about it from her perspective since I can't feel what the pain is in her leg, but I can only imagine it.
Pain.
Huh?
She must be in a lot of pain.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's just horrible.
My brother blew his knee out, and that was bad. He went to Columbia, I think, to get it done.
Yeah.
He totally out. Mount Sinai's a great hospital.
Yeah, terrific hospital. But anyway, so, so I have to tell you the whole story from my standpoint. But, you always have I always have to tell things from my standpoint. That's why I was so upset earlier with it. Oh, well, it's always about you and not about the women who's got. Fuck you. It's still bothering me, Phil.
It can only bother you if you let it bother.
Yeah, I guess. But where are we? Oh yeah, I'll tell you. Do something, Ray. If you don't, keep your phone in one orientation or another, but don't move it because it keeps changing the size of everybody else's pictures. Yeah, there we go.
Not on the new Skype. He's just in a circle.
Yeah, he's in the grocery store. What grocery store is that? Is that a Safeway?
Yes, it is.
See, I know my Safeways.
It is.
Hey, there's a spill on aisle 3. Need a cleanup.
It's the smallest Safeway left.
Yeah.
I think it's tiny.
Oh, here we go. It's going out into the parking lot.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's like we had a little rain there.
I used to go to the only Safeway in the Bay Area that had live lobsters for sale.
Now you need to mute.
Yeah. I'm gonna mute myself here.
Yeah. We used to go to the only Safeway. The Marina Safeway sold live lobsters. And it was the only place they sold live lobsters.
That was a pickup place.
That was, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was. It was. Yeah.
Before the internet.
Here.
Yeah.
Sell live lobsters.
Yeah. So anyway, Rob, how have you been? How was your Thanksgiving? Because you came up here, right, up to the New York area.
Yeah, we had our own little disaster Thanksgiving. My mom fell and broke her foot. And so I spent all day Friday in the emergency room in the hospital. And I know what you mean by just exhaustion. We got her to the hospital. We were there about 9 hours. And she was not happy because my mother's also suffering from dementia. So she was fighting with us and wanted to go home, but she couldn't go home because she had a broken foot.
Oh,
geez. And she can't take care of herself. So the hospital didn't want to keep her. The social worker came and said, we could put a boot on her and release her. And they said, oh, yeah, well, how's my mother going to walk and take care of herself? She lives alone. Well, let her come stay with you.
Well, the joke would be if they have to put a boot on her, how are you going to drive her home?
Yeah, right.
No, not that type of boot.
So she wound up, they did more tests and they found that she was severely dehydrated and had a UTI. And so she spent the weekend in the hospital, and now they transferred her to a rehab place. So she's rehabbing.
But meanwhile, you had to come back home, right?
Well, no, I mean, we left on Saturday night.
Yeah, but you had to leave her with all this, as we call it in the Jewish religion, surus going on.
Right. We left Saturday
his brother
night.
is
my brother's there.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah, my brother's. Yeah, I wouldn't have left her if my brother was.
Well, luckily, this didn't happen before Thanksgiving.
It happened Thanksgiving after dinner.
John Rockwell came over for the after Thanksgiving. We had a Saturday eat the rest of the turkey gathering. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So should we take
with
a
me
poll?
and another very nice person,
Teresa? Yeah. What were you saying,
nice.
Phil?
Should we take a poll? Who's got the worst case of the emergency? My phase is out. She has the flu.
No, that's just the flu. Yours is a. That's
but I couldn't convince her to get a doctor 6 months ago, and now she sees the importance of it,
and that's the result of it. Exactly.
I'm sure she didn't get a flu shot either.
No, she didn't. She wouldn't.
Of course not.
I got a flu shot on Tuesday, and or Monday, and I felt I was very tired, and I actually slept all day Tuesday.
Well, you get a little bit of the flu. You get a little bit of whatever it is you're protecting yourself against. But
I did. They say that you don't, but other people have said that.
My theory is, you know where all flus come from.
It comes from other flu.
No,
dead flu virus.
No, it comes from Asia.
Oh,
in other words, how they know what flus are coming here usually is they can predict them by
300 and something flus right now.
Well, the thing is, but they go for I think the 3 or 4 main flu strains that they find coming that are in Asia, and then they're coming over here. They travel. Okay.
Do they have a tariff?
And they come, oddly enough, they come from farms. They come from animals.
Yeah. Swine flu.
So my feeling is, if we go to Asia and kill every animal in Asia, we can wipe out the flu.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah.
Hey, we had something years ago called mad cow disease, and when that happened, none of the other countries wanted to buy our meat, including the UK.
No.
Their meat's so bad, nobody can eat it.
We didn't really get mad cow over here. Where they got mad cow was in England, I think.
England.
And so
it was in England.
That was the worst.
We had some mad cow here, and the English didn't want to buy any of our meat because of it. But if you've ever tasted meat in England, it all tastes like it's mad cow.
Well, that's just the way they cook it.
Yeah.
They're the only country that outside of Israel that boils meat.
Well, that's how you make brisket.
I think England buys a lot of beef from Australia.
From Australia?
Argentina.
Yeah.
Argentina,
yeah. So anyway,
Argentina and Brazil, they have a tremendous amount of leather, so I guess that's why there's a lot of cows.
Yeah.
And,
in those Argentinian restaurants where they come around and slice off big hunks of meat, every
those
table.
Are they Brazilian? Yeah, those
I think Brazilian, Argentinian. I think both.
Yeah, I can't eat at those places.
Well, I love those places. I love those places.
Total overkill, yeah.
They come to your table and they slice the meat for you and all of that.
Right. But there's only certain ones that are good. They got other ones that are wrapped in stuff and they taste like shit. You know, I mean, they're probably.
Oh, there's one here in Manhattan that's just killer, killer. I can't remember the name of it now. You probably know what I'm talking about, right?
I know.
Joe?
I've heard
a
of
Brazilian steakhouse type place,
something like that. Yeah.
And they you get a card with a red and a green side. And if you want food, you show the green. If you want them to stop bothering you, you put the red.
Yeah, but they keep coming over and slicing off meat and giving it to you. And that's my kind of place. You know, that's my low carb diet place, go-to place.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you know, if they come around with the regular meat all the time, but they have these things that are wrapped in bacon, and I don't care for them.
By the way, we have almost a full house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
So.
Last time I was in Argentina, they brought 3 cows to my table, and they said, "Which one do you want?" And they slaughtered it right there at the table.
No, they didn't.
That was the waitress.
Did anybody see this video that's going around of the world's largest cow?
Yeah. Yes, I put it up on my Facebook page. I think
the largest.
This thing's like 6'8" inches high.
It's actually a steer. It's not a cow. It's a steer. World's just huge, so huge that the reason he's not dead is they can't fit him in a slaughterhouse.
Right. It was not worth the effort, really, to try to figure out how to do that.
They can figure out how to.
So they're going to put him. They're going to let him.
It's not a
live out his life somewhere, and in the fields. You know.
Yeah.
It's not a full-grown steer with a bunch of baby cows next to it, so that it looks larger. You know.
So that's what I thought, because they had all these other. It was a different breed of cow, and I thought maybe those cows are midget cows, but
did they say it was 6'8"?
Yeah, well, damn thing's huge.
Well, play for the Lakers.
Not 6'8", but I think that's from the top of the head. Usually they measure, I think, just to the back.
I think it's like 6'4" to the shoulder.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, something like that.
Any cow basketball team sign this guy?
The Cavaliers.
The Cavaliers. Very funny. Thank you very much.
I guess the Chicago Bulls need him, but
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Bit of bomb, bit of boom.
So anyway, tomorrow I take her over at 2:30 to the hospital, drop her off, and
they do their thing.
They do their thing. Some people stay at the hospital, but I'm not. I don't. I don't want to.
When I had the heart operation, Faye stayed in a chair
in the room. Different. But you see, that's different. That's different. If you were going in for something that I thought was deadly, okay, or life-threatening, or the outcome of which was, this is pretty much textbook, Yeah. And the only way she's going to die from this is total incompetence. So I'm not worried about that. But, to be there, even when she comes out of the anesthetic, to be looking, hovering over her, is not going to help her much. She said, I don't really need to have you there.
Well, I kept sending Faye down to the restaurant in the hospital to get me better stuff than what they were serving me, and coffee.
Yeah.
I needed coffee.
Yeah, well, but I mean, as soon as she's ready to be picked up, I'm over there, and I'll be ready. And you know what I found? This is interesting. I'll get to you in a second, John. When she was in the emergency room, I left because I knew she was going to be there a while, and I said, because I got up early. I got up like at 6 in the morning, which for me it's almost impossible, and I'm really dragging my ass. And I said, would you mind if I went home and you could call me when you're ready to be picked up, because I just can't even walk straight. I was wobbling. And she said, oh, no reason to stay here. They were going to do all this stuff. And, I've got my iPad and I can keep myself busy. And I said, plus the fact, there's no place for me to sit. And she said, fine, So I came home, and I decided I felt very guilty about not being there with her. So I called her on my cell phone through FaceTime. And it was kind of like, why? I didn't have to be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking at her. She's looking at me. We're talking. You know, we're communicating with each other. So I found that to be look who's home. Ray's home. So it was, you know, it was pretty good deal all the way around. But I've been, you know, I've been taking care of her, and it's been exhausting, and she is just, she's been a trooper through this whole thing, you know.
We're all really sorry that she's got to go through this.
Well, that's the part that just anguishes me, okay? And I can only talk about it from my perspective and how I feel going through something like this, because I can't, I'm not in her body. I can only see what she's going through. I know what I'm going through, and I'm going through all the problems that you get from just feeling bad for somebody. I don't want to see her hurting like this. I looked at her the other day, and I said something I had never really realized. And I said, "All I want is my playmate back. You know, all I want to do is have fun with you. You know, and right now my playmate is sick."
Well, when she's healed, you'll appreciate it even more.
Yeah, well,
what's wrong?
Oh, yeah, he's the last one.
Out of the loop. I saw it on the news update.
Somebody tripped her, and she broke her knee, and tomorrow she has to be operated on.
Oh, okay.
Broken knee.
For broken knee.
Her knee.
Yeah.
Okay.
I read I buried my heart
now, and it has about an 8-month rehab rate.
Oh no!
So her trips to China and whatnot are going to be.
Well, she already went.
What?
Yeah, we really well. It really depends. Once she gets the not the cast, it's a brace or something that keeps her leg from bending. Okay, once she gets that taken off in about 6 weeks, she's capable of doing anything, but it's going to take a while to get her leg getting a full range of motion. But we probably at that point could take a trip to Europe, and I think that's exactly what we're going to do. You know.
Is it knee replacement?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's knee.
I'll listen later.
It's repair. Yeah.
Okay.
So did they talk about giving her one of the devices, sending her home with a device that exercises it? Because they do that sometimes. They'll give her a device
stimulation.
And they put her in an ice machine, and then they put her on a machine that she sits in, and it moves her knee back and forth to keep it moving.
I don't know. All I know is that she has to go to physical therapy, so she's going to go to my physical therapist. I don't know if he does that.
Yeah, they may give her one of those too, so that'd be good, because they're nice to have, but you got to keep that thing moving.
Yeah. But you know, I'm sure she's going to be just fine, but it's just going to be, the recovery is slow, but she won't be ambulatory. Or is that the term? Is ambulatory when you can't move, or is ambulatory when
you're
just limited?
Can't walk around. Yeah.
If you're ambulatory, you can move, I believe.
Okay, then what are you if you can't move?
But you can't walk around.
A lame fuck, I guess.
You're not ambulatory.
Okay, here we go. Full house, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Bree is calling from Dubai. Hello, Bree. How are you?
Hi. Good morning.
Yeah.
I'm doing good, thanks.
Yeah.
How's Marjorie?
Well, she's right now she's sleeping on her back, because that's the only way she can sleep right now. But after tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow night, you know, she'll probably be in pain from the operation. Well, she won't be here tomorrow night, but when we get her back, I think she's going to be fine. You know, but it's just
not any pain after this.
It's just so freaky that a week ago she was perfectly fine, nothing wrong. And now she's got about 8 months of rehab ahead of her. You know,
what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Well, either that or it kills you.
This is one you don't need. This was one that was just totally unnecessary.
This was unnecessary. Yeah. And you know, I just want my playmate back. But you know, all I can talk, as I said, you know, because Renee tried to make me feel guilty about it. I can only talk about these things from my perspective, because that's the only perspective I have. You know.
No, not necessarily. I mean, if you can see from other perspectives. It doesn't make you unqualified to.
No, but I'm saying that the way I have to relate to it is how I had to deal with it and deal with the situation, as it and how you feel about it's not wonderful to see somebody you love in pain, and it makes me love her more. So maybe next time I'll break her other leg. Anyway,
will she be able to Skype into the show so that you do Fridays with Marjorie?
Well, no. Tomorrow night it'll be
Not
my.
this week.
I did another interview with my ex-wife, which would have run Tuesday, but I didn't do a show Tuesday, and then it didn't run Wednesday because I didn't do a show Wednesday. And then I was going to play it tonight, and then I figured I had to tell the story and show the video of it. And so tomorrow night, because she is going to be here, I'm going to run the Ronnie interview, which is an exceptionally good interview. It's really good about all the cancer cure people who have come along, or people who come along and tell her how she can cure her cancer.
Oh, God.
And that all these people should rot in hell, and it's she says, luckily it's none of her regular readers, but
did she get someone who said to use MMS?
There are all kinds of people that come across with stuff. She's got the best doctors you can have for this sort of thing, and hey, they say it's inoperable, and that's it. So what she's doing.
And this spread not in the pancreas, but to something else.
Yeah, lungs and perineum, which is the lining of the stomach or something. And they say it's inoperable. Now I thought everything was operable, but I guess that's not true. And but our discussion tomorrow night is especially good. It's already up on YouTube because I put it up so she can use it on her site. And I'll be running it tomorrow night. And then next week, I did another hour and a half with Jack Garfine. And again, I'll probably run one every night, or maybe I'll run one every other night. I haven't figured out what yet. But that turned out very good. A little shorter than the last time in total. Basically because the guy's getting a little older every week, okay? And it was the amount of energy he could put into doing this interview. But in it, he does recall stories about his life with Marilyn Monroe and James Dean and several other very famous people. So that'll come up next week. So we have some stuff in the can that's ready to go, But as I say, the exhaustion for both of us was just extraordinary. We got back yesterday after all of this, and just it's like we ran a gauntlet together. Yeah. But we felt,
and it's the stress of not knowing why she's hurt initially. You didn't know that it was broken.
Yeah, yeah. We didn't know it wasn't just really bruised badly.
Right.
Yes, Jeff.
One of the pictures that Pam saw about her.
Yeah.
She said, "You know what? Marjorie looks pretty damn good."
No varicose veins.
No.
Yeah, well, we sent, as we say, to Pam and Jeff, because we were supposed to come see them this week, and I feel bad about it that we can't, because I was looking forward to it. But we'll do it another time soon, I'm sure, yes. When she feels she can travel. But she sent them a picture of the leg, just to prove that she wasn't lying. Here's what it looks like.
Look at the length that she goes through not to go to Connecticut.
Yeah, yeah. Look at what she does just to prevent herself from having to go to Connecticut. Yes, just to get out of a thing. Yeah. Well, I thanked her. Tomorrow I can't do, I do Michael Snyder once a week, and I can't do it tomorrow because I have to take her to the hospital. So I said, thank you at least for that. So
have Damien do it.
Huh? Yeah, have Damien do it. Listen, I got to thank both Damien and Jack for taking over the shows. Not an easy task for Jack because it's 3 hours, and not an easy task for Damien, who's only used to doing a half hour every night. You know, if that, 25 minutes. And yet, both of them did a splendid job. And I just thank them very much for doing it. And I imagine I'll be here tomorrow night. I can't see any reason that I won't be unless there's some kind of emergency, or if they say, well, we're not going to keep her overnight. Come pick her up at 10 o'clock. I don't think that's going to be the case, though.
When somebody's coming out of anesthesia like that, and they're putting her out.
Well, he said that if they did it in the morning, they get her home by the afternoon. But he said that because he's doing it later in the day, planned to spend the night in the hospital.
Yeah, and you know what? She needs to be administered pain meds throughout the night.
That is not necessarily a possible. Oh, she can be administered pain meds. She just can't have
intravenously.
She can't have them prescribe pain meds to her.
Right.
If they do, they have to call her pain doctor, who will then tell them what they can give her or not give her. But she has Dilaudid here. You know, that's about as strong as you get. So,
yeah, but there's certain things for certain areas of the body, like morphine, seem to,
Well, they didn't. Well, what they gave me when I was in the hospitals, they gave me morphine, but they also then gave me Dilaudid, and Dilaudid worked just as well as the morphine.
Yeah.
But they gave her Dilaudid at the hospital, and it didn't help at all.
Maybe she's accustomed to it.
Well, maybe she's
regularly.
accustomed to it. Also, they probably gave her a very low dose of it. You know, they really should have, dialed it up to a 10, but they didn't. And so when I took her home, they gave her a shot of Dilaudid before we left, and she wasn't loopy at all. I mean, it wasn't helping with the pain. So, you know, I hope everybody has enjoyed this. We've had a large audience tonight, so it's not like people didn't want to hear about this stuff.
And a full house.
And a full house. Even though one of the people did drop off. And Brian, you've been very quiet tonight. Any quick comments?
No, other than the fact that you were talking about doctor visits and Medicare and whatnot, and I'm sitting here just more advocating for single payer. And it doesn't look like we're going to get that on account of the fact that not only is Nancy Pelosi still the speaker, but also that Kareem Jeffries has been outvoted over Barbara Lee.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about that tomorrow night, okay?
I thought the Cowboys would beat the Saints, and they did.
Trump.
All the way from Dubai, we get a sports
Did they beat
score.
the Saints?
Yeah, Cowboys beat the Saints.
Wow, you're all the way over there, and I forgot to watch a game.
What a small world. Jeff, thank you for being with us. The same thing goes to you, John. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Tony, good to hear from you. Glad to hear your mom's going to be okay. Brian, thank you so much for your call. Call us tomorrow night and we'll talk more about Nancy Pelosi. And I'm sure Phil Meyer will want to talk about Nancy Pelosi too. Thank you very much, Bree in Dubai, Phil Meyer, Rob Alfano. Thank you so much for chiming in. Kevin, good to have you here. Nice the notes you wrote about, getting on the mend from something like this. Nobody knows better than you. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful, the greatest actor in America, Ray Renati. Anyway, all of you, give a big wave goodbye so they can see you go. Okay? Bye-bye, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. A bunch of wonderful people are always there kind of for us, and but I hope none of you minded us talking about all this, but apparently you didn't, because you all stuck in there very nicely. I'm out of here. Next is The Intersection with Jack Bishop. That's followed at 1 o'clock in the morning by Connections. Tomorrow night, 9:30, it's Damian Chaplin and The Exchange. And then I will be back here again tomorrow night, same time, same station at, let's say, somewhere around 10 o'clock. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.